In 1977, Queen was already successful, but the British press wouldn't leave them alone. Journalists spent all day criticizing the band, saying they were pretentious, that their music was excessive, that Freddie Mercury was a self-absorbed idiot, and Freddie was furious about it. He wasn't the type to stay quiet when attacked, so instead of giving interviews crying, he sat down at the piano and decided to write a song that would irritate them even more. But he ended up creating exactly what bothered him most artistically, a song he spent years criticizing even though it became one of the biggest hits in rock history. We are the champions. It all started after a specific show in England. The band played, left the stage, and the audience simply didn't leave. They stayed there in the dark and started singing "You'll Never Walk Alone" on their own, thousands of voices in chorus, without anyone telling them to. Brian May later said that they were backstage listening to it, completely amazed. It was kind of scary and kind of magical. That's when they realized that the audience could be part of the show and not just passively watching. Freddie went home with that scene in his head and sat down at the piano to compose. The idea was to create something that people could shout together, something unifying. But when the notes came out, the lyrics were strange. He spoke of, "I've paid my dues." It wasn't a bed of roses. But it's been no bed of roses. And that refrain, "We are the champions." We are the champions. When he showed the song to the band, Brian May, Roger Taylor, and John Deacon looked at each other thinking he was joking. It sounded very pretentious, very full of themselves, like a band calling themselves the kings of the world. But Freddie had a plan and insisted. The band was suspicious but ended up recording it. They went into Wessex Studios in London to record, and from the first take, Freddie already felt that there was something there. But at the same time, he felt that thing in his stomach. The music sounded too grandiose. It sounded like they thought they were the greatest on the planet. And at the time, in 1977, punk was exploding in England. The Sex Pistols were calling everyone establishment, sellouts, and there was Queen recording dramatic piano about how they were champions. When they finished mixing, Freddie himself listened and said openly, "This is the most egocentric and arrogant thing I've ever written." He felt deep down that it was too commercial, too obvious, too calculated. But the record company listened and saw money, so that was it. There was no going back. The song came out and became #2 on the British charts, stuck behind Paul McCartney but unstoppable. Football stadiums adopted it, TV commercials used it, graduation parties played it nonstop, and Freddie became attached to it. Every tour he had to go up at the end and sing that lyric that he thought was exaggerated, "No time for losers." He would strike the champion pose with his arm raised, but inside it was different. He called the song "Pure Calculation," said it was too commercial. But there was a layer that he took a while to accept. It had started as a response to critics who were slagging off the band. Roger Taylor explained that it was a "screw you" to the journalists. Like, "You talk bad about us all the time, so we're going to make a song saying we're champions just to annoy you." But the joke backfired and became a national anthem. Freddie had to accept the fact that his provocative song had become the most mainstream thing possible. He did the theater on stage, but you could tell he had a complicated relationship with that. Like, "I know this is too much, but you want it, so here it is." Over time, he began to realize that "we" wasn't just Queen. It was everyone who was there in front of him. He saw faces in the crowd singing it as if it were a personal mantra. Ordinary people going through problems using the music to feel victorious for a few minutes. And the arrogance of the lyrics transformed into a collective celebration as thousands shouted along. The peak was at Live Aid in 1985. Wembley packed with 72,000 people and over 1 billion watching on TV. When it came time for "We Are the Champions," Freddie threw his arm in the air and sang "Of the World" at the end, letting the audience complete it. This wasn't in the original recording, but that day it made sense. It wasn't about Queen being champions anymore, but about everyone there. And perhaps that's when he felt at peace with that song for the first time. The song never left the repertoire and became an obligatory tradition. If Queen didn't play it, the audience would boo the stage. Freddie lived with this until the end, dying in 1991. But "We Are the Champions" continued. Today, Brian May and Roger Taylor still play it with Adam Lambert and still end with that song. Entire stadiums still sing along, and studies on popular music indicate that it has one of the strongest structures ever created for singing. The irony is that the guy who created it spent years thinking it was exaggerated, egocentric, a provocative idea that got out of control. Freddie Mercury wrote "We Are the Champions" in anger, wanting to irritate the critics who attacked him, and ended up creating an anthem that transcends generations. He spent years bothered by it, thinking it pretentious and calculating. He had to swallow his artistic pride and accept that even with all the reservations, the song touched millions of people in a real way. In the end, he was the champion, but not in the way he imagined when he wrote it on the piano, furious with the press. And sometimes that's the sweetest victory, even if it takes you years to realize it. If you enjoyed this story, leave a like and subscribe. It costs nothing and really helps the channel reach more people who enjoy this kind of rock story. If you're not subscribed yet and are thinking about subscribing, we cover these crazy music stories here all the time. And comment below if you knew this one about Freddie, or if you have any other similar stories about another band that we should tell. Thanks, and see you next time!